Good evening, everybody. I hope everybody's doing well. We have our second, third. I don't know. We haven't done this in a while, but we're doing our Dungeon Talk Roundtable again tonight. It's going to be kind of a discussion about D&D and other geeky and nerdy things that are going on, movies and such. So I'm going to kick it over to Vince because it's his baby for tonight, and so we'll get everybody introduced and we'll see where we go.
Hi, I'm Vince. You all know me, although I haven't been online for quite some time. I pop in and out now and then.
Mute your phones, everybody.
Yes. So what we're going to do here, we're going to keep it fairly informal, and we're going to start off by introducing everyone from my side, left to right, Aaron, all the way through, and pretty much just going through how we got our introduction to whether it was D&D or some other tabletop game, or just geekery and nerdery in general. So, Aaron, take it away.
Well, I was very popular with the ladies back in high school. And no, basically I was a freshman, and I was a nerd just like everybody else. And I certainly played sports and all that. But all of a sudden there was this thing called a Strategist Club over at Germantown High School. And it was ran by Mr. Conover, and the guy, like the proto nerd, you know, the king of the nerds. And he had all the cool games. He had Battletech, I think even Shadowrun when it first came out, tons of like PC games, and of course Dungeons and Dragons. And so we got to play all of them, but we got into Dungeons and Dragons, and that's where I cut my teeth. And then I did that until I moved from that high school, and then played occasionally in college. But then you had to work and you had to put food on the table, and thank God for the interwebs, because now you could get a critical mass of nerds and geeks together, and we can play no matter where we are. So yeah, it's been a resurgence in the past like 4 or 5 years for me.
Yeah. And speaking of that, where you don't have to give an exact location, but like where in the U.S. are you generally?
Usually I live in Minneapolis, unless it's cold and it snows, which is half the year. And then that other half the year, I spend my time between Vegas and Phoenix. Although I do have a motorcycle out here, so I kind of bum around the West. So anything where it's not cold. So it could be southern Utah, could even be Puerto Penasco in Mexico, maybe California, but I hate California. So it's usually Nevada and Arizona.
Okay. Cool.
That's it. That's it. That's all there is.
You're done. Yeah, that's it. You got nothing. All right, we're going to shoot the intro over to Mr. Dan. Dan, you want to introduce yourself and sort of how you got started in geekery?
Certainly. So I started in middle school, which was in the mid 90s.
Years ago.
Started with though I'd heard of Dungeons and Dragons, I started with Magic the Gathering first, and kind of fell into that bad crowd of geeks and nerds who love gaming, and started and then it seemed like it popped up everywhere from there. Groups at school, and then the Boy Scouts, because I was so popular with the ladies, just like Aaron. And so I just been playing here and there ever since. On and off more than on, but
that's okay.
Always a geek at heart.
Yes, and that's
middle school in the 90s. What are you, like 14? Jesus Christ!
90s is a long time ago, John. I don't know if you noticed it.
I'm old. I forget stuff. I'd already graduated by then.
Seriously.
Yeah.
I think we're all old enough to be your father. I don't know.
Jesus.
Could be. It's nice to be the newbie.
There you go.
All right.
And our fearless leader, John.
Oh, me? Oh, shit. I guess kind of like Aaron a little bit. I think I actually started with Battletech more than anything else. A guy I went to high school with, we would play, like after school, and then we, like first year in college, we'd get out of class and run back. We had like literally the whole floor in the spare bedroom was maps. We had squads of mechs taped up to the fucking walls. He wrote like a little DOS computer program to like roll dice and, the random number generator kind of thing. I guess shortly thereafter, I started playing second ed because I'd never played D&D before. And a guy that I work with was like, "Hey, you should come play D&D." I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. He's like, oh my God, you've never played D. I'm like, nah, no, I, never did that. So I jumped in with them for a little bit. I think we played for maybe about 2 years. People moved, group broke up. And then when my ex-wife's friend started dating Vince, we became friends, and he had played forever. So he's like, "Oh, we should play D&D," and I'm like, "All right, that's cool, whatever." And it did not go well. It was really bad. I think maybe we tried like, I don't know what, 4 sessions, 5 sessions. Like, yeah, this is fucking dumb. We're not doing it.
Yes. Well, certain people in the group didn't fucking care. We're not going to name any names.
Everybody other than you and me. And then when 4th edition came out, Vince suggested that we play again, and Penny Arcade was doing their podcast stuff, and I'm like, people recording games, this is crazy. And
that was 2007.
Yeah, so then I went up listening to like 20 podcasts or something, like mostly all actual play stuff, and then I joined the Nerdbound podcast, and I played so many different games with them. They introduced me to like a whole wider world of gaming. And then pretty much since 2008 through now, it's just been tons and tons of games. So it's pretty awesome.
Cool. Yeah. And then here we are, Legends of Tabletop.
Yep.
What was this? Your ex-wife's husband was friends with Vince, and then what? Well, how that there's a story there.
John's ex-wife had a friend, and I was dating her in the 90s. That's how we met. And then I broke up with her. John left his wife, and then once they changed the laws, John and I will immediately marry. So yeah, and I was back in 97, 98, I think.
I don't even know. We were in our townhouse still. It was before Emily was born, so it was pre-2000.
Yeah, that's great. That was with your insane fucking cat.
Yeah, yeah, she was crazy.
I would come over to play BattleTech. What, like once a week when you were working the second shift, and then the fucking cat would just like just slap you, claw you for no reason.
She was great with us. She'd cuddle. She was great. People came over the house, and she was like a fucking puma. This dark gray cat. She would attack people. She almost ripped Jason's eyes out one day. We were sitting playing chess. She jumped up on the table, and she was just sitting there, and he's, oh yeah, cat. I said, don't touch her. He reaches over to go get her. She's like, wow. Like, I told you, don't touch her. Like,
yep.
Oh man. So Jeremy's hanging out in the chat. He said he got his start with the Complete Book of Villains 2.0 in 95. And yeah, so that's his kind of jump in there.
Cool.
For any of the older guys, not Sprado, because Sprado was a zygote at the time. Did any of you guys get like a backlash? Like, because I was in a religious family, and they were like, "Ooh, Dungeons and Dragons is the cult," and all this other. Did any of you guys have that or no?
Satanic Panic.
I heard about that, but where we were at now, it's not a huge deal.
Cool.
Yeah, I think that was more like early mid '80s when that was really, more of a thing.
Hmm. That's when I was around. That's
Yeah.
I do remember Carter. I do remember Carter.
Yeah, they kind of blown over by. I guess it was kind of still going in the 90s, but it wasn't like mainstream anymore. That whole.
You were 3 years old in the 90s. What are you talking about? How were you on top of this at 3?
Listen, I was ahead of my time. I was reading the papers.
Sure. Wall Street Journal?
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
That's right. It's quality shit right there. And how about yourself, Gabe? How'd you get a start in tabletop gaming? And you could if you want to relate your story with software design too, feel free.
Oh, well, I guess, I ran over and I got some props because they were sitting over there, and I was like, I had these boxes.
Oh, cool.
It's like, these are some of the first boxes. These are my boxes from the 80s, from when I guess my parents bought them for me. But, the Star Frontiers and this one I bought later in life, but I have the red one too.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I started off, I guess, I don't know how, but I guess I heard about this thing. I guess I went over to some friend's house. He's like, yeah, there's this thing called D&D. And we played it together for a little bit. And I begged my parents to go to the bookstore and buy me whatever was the latest thing. So I have like a whole collection of not only basic, but advanced Dungeons and Dragons and some modules and stuff. And I think from there, I started branching off, like, whatever TSR made. So, the Star Frontiers and the Gamma World and stuff like that. And then also, I think I had a friend who liked a different kind of like role-playing games that weren't Dungeons and Dragons. They were more like sci-fi stuff. And that kind of got me into a game called, at the time it was called Traveler 2300. And Twilight 2000. I guess Twilight 2000 was more like a military campaign style thing. And then AD 2300 or 2300 AD was more like the space opera stuff. And it was around the same time that the movie Aliens came out. So me and my buddies were like super psyched that we got to play like Space Marines and aliens. Yeah, and then I guess when like we were saying earlier, when you get to be an adult, you're just like, oh, I got to do cool things because adults don't play Dungeons and Dragons. But then I think I guess around the early 2000s, mid 2000s, I started playing D&D again, and that's where I met Vince. We all met up at like a Barnes and Noble or something to kind of like formulate a D&D group of strangers. And Dan was there too, I think, or was he someone?
No, that's Dan is introduced to this group through me, but that Jane,
later edition.
She was at the group too.
Yeah, okay. And as far as like doing game development, when I was a kid, I would always play like things like Ultima Online or the Ultima series or Wizardry and stuff like that. Any kind of like RPG I could get my hands on. But I also play a lot of strategy games too, both tabletop and on the computer. So that's kind of like where my background is and where I started to like tabletop and video games. Kind of like they kind of mix together for me in that way.
Cool.
Did I hear you right where you said you had to beg your parents to take you to the bookstore?
I didn't have to beg them, but I guess when you're like 10 years old or 11 years old, you're like, hey, I want to go buy these books. And they're like, what books? What are you talking about? And, I don't have any money. So they had to like give me like the $10 or whatever it cost. I don't know. Does it have the price on the back of these things?
Well, I'm just amazed. Like if you have a kid asking to go to the bookstore, I was asking, like, could I go to the candy store? Could I go get video games? If I said books, my parents would pass out.
Oh yeah. I love books. I read all kinds of books.
I'm not joking.
Tons of books.
I don't think I've read more than 10 books that I didn't have to outside of school, like willingly.
Really?
Well, it's like weird because, when I was like 10 and 11, the thing that got me reading was the Choose Your Own Adventure books that they made for kids.
Yeah.
So I was like reading those every day, kind of coming home on the bus or walking home. I would like read them as I was walking home. And that's what kind of got me into being a reader, like reading sci-fi and fantasy and stuff.
Yeah, my folks would try and get me to read, and they one time came to me, what was it, Lord of the Rings, which when you stack them up is about the height of the Sears Tower in Chicago. And I looked at them like, the hell. And I told my mom, they're going to make movies out of it someday. They say, they won't. The movies aren't as good as the books. And when they actually came out, I like, aha, I told you. I don't have to read those. I saved myself so much time.
Well, there's a lot.
As far as what do you want me to read? Atlas Shrugged.
I think I have it on my shelf.
Well, good for you.
Buy that for you. That's before you die, you have to read that and then give a report.
They made a movie out of it. What do I have to read it for?
They're never the same.
No, but not for anything. They are really good. So.
You're definitely the outlier here, Aaron. I think we're all solidly in the reading game.
Your parents wanted you to be a nerd.
Yes,
I tried to be a nerd. I just couldn't. I didn't meet the reading requirements.
Yeah. You got an F on the reading. Yeah, totally.
Hey, I flunked out of English.
Did you?
Yeah. I tried to look up my old teacher who flunked me and like waved the books that I published in her face. Like, I can't find her anymore. I'm like, oh, you're nobody. I can't find you. But me, I'm published and I failed.
I love it. I love it. Well, as for myself, I got my D&D start with the Red Box set as well in 1983. And then from then on in that summertime with some friends around the block, every fucking day, D&D, D&D, D&D. And then it went, Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, and then it moved into Star Frontiers, Shadowrun, some Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Lord of the Rings, the Iron Crown Enterprises, Middle Earth role-playing game. And on and off since 1983, I've been fundamentally a dungeon master. I've played a few games, and Gabe has run a few games, but for the most part, a DM. So it's been years.
Speaking of Lord of the Rings, there's like a whole new series of RGB books based on, I guess, the Pathfinder stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they looked really cool. They saw them at PAX Unplugged.
Yeah, okay. How was that, by the way? You did go, right?
Yeah. It was pretty cool. It was like really packed, tons of people, tons of stuff to take a look at. I didn't really go to any of the sessions or anything like that, but for I guess it was 2 or 3 days that it was open. It was pretty cool, and it's probably going to come back. There was definitely enough interest to have them come back, so that would be really cool.
Okay. Now, where was it? It was in the convention center in Philly?
Yeah, it was in the Philly Convention Center, right in Center City.
Was it all 3 days?
Go ahead.
I was going to say, was it all 3 days or just 2? Or
I think it was 3 days, like Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Yeah.
Okay.
Do you know what the attendance was? I was gonna go, and I was just like, coming out of Necronomicon, I'd spent a shitload of money already. I was like, I'm not gonna go.
I don't know exactly, but if you take like at the end of the day, like at 5 o'clock when the expo and shuts down, the entire convention floor was filled with people playing games.
All stinking up the joint.
Yeah, and that's not counting the ones that were kind of probably out at the sessions and stuff. So at least 10,000, if not more.
That's decent size.
That's pretty good. And that was the first one, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, it is PAX. PAX has got a pretty big name on it, but yeah. For Philadelphia, I really wasn't expecting it to be this popular.
Well, they do Wizard World, the comic conventions, and all that shit over there. I mean, they've got a fairly robust nerd community to be able to support that, or else Wizards wouldn't do it there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you can figure that the expo floor was about half the size of Wizard World, with the other half being just free to play tables that people were playing at, and demo tables and stuff. I got a few games there too. Some pretty cool tabletop games. Something called Eschaton, which is kind of like a mix between Dominion and Risk. And there was something else. I can't remember what it is off the top of my head right now, but they had a lot of really cool like indie games and small independent studios that had booths there too.
Cool.
Now, is the plan for that to return to Philly? If it does return, is it going to be like a Philly thing, or is it going to be?
Yep.
That's awesome.
It's not going to be traveling around. It's like Philadelphia is the place where PAX Unplugged is going to happen.
Nice.
Cool.
Mm-hmm. What the hell?
I don't know. You're making me edit though.
That's all right. Edit that in post.
Are we not allowed to curse?
No, we can curse, but awkward pauses and
and air and people eating.
Oh.
Do we have like a laugh track we can throw in here?
The usual. But yeah, you can fucking curse. It's fine.
I fucking will.
Awesome. Fucking beautiful.
Fucking better.
All right, so we got the introductions out of the way. Now, we haven't played in a while, which I have a bone to pick with most of you guys. All of you. Well, yeah, all of you guys, with the exception of John. I sent out a fucking email about playing D&D in February. Not one of you bastards responded. What's up with that shit?
I was out hiking and having fun.
All right.
To be honest.
Usually, if it's email, if it's not like business related, it goes to the bottom of the stack. And
you guys suck balls.
You're more likely to get me if you text me, or even if you tweet at me, I might respond faster.
Tweet at you.
I'm gonna have to fucking twatter at you, fuckers.
You can always assume I'm in because I can always adjust my schedule. I have literally no responsibilities. It's like being a kid but with pubic hair. I just will make it. I'll show up. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, that's usually the thing for me too. It's like I take a quick look and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm ready. I'm available for that day, and I forget about it.
All right.
But
I'll send Twitter messages to you fuckers. Jesus, that's where there's an archive. There's some
I want to get back in that game. I miss my wizard, and I want to see the return of Blackfeather if he shows up.
Hey Vince.
Yes.
You know what you should do is you should do like all the girls do when they get married. They send out the pre RSVP stuff, and you could annoy us and have our full name spelled out without numbers on the address. We got to send it back and check the fucking boxes and all that. We could do that if you'd want, your Royal Eminence.
Some fancy paper.
Actually, I think that's a great idea. Why don't you send email invites? I mean, not email, regular mail invites in fancy envelopes. That will get our attention.
Now, hold on a second. I just checked my email. I did reply to that, and then Aaron, he pulled what I usually do, and he just did a reply directly to me instead of the group.
Oh my god, you guys suck.
That's my trick.
I did?
Yeah.
What the fuck? God damn it.
Yeah. Now I've done that like 3 or 4 times. Like I just send it to game.
I'll set up something for March. I'm gonna assume Aaron is in, unless he's some kind of act of God. I'm gonna assume Gabe is in, and then Dan, depends whether or not his kids are shitting.
Yeah, or being born.
Yes.
One or the other.
That's true, yeah.
But
can you at least script
I can play from the delivery
room.
room.
The wedding invite?
I'll accommodate you. I'll go ahead.
You are cordially invited to attend us on this glorious day of March the 7th, the year of our Lord 2018.
Yes.
Get some Microsoft, get some templates with some nice fancy lettering
I'll do a parchment background. Good. Present thine self accordingly.
Yes.
Yes. All right, we can do that.
Can you have it sent as a scroll?
I'll send it by a pigeon.
By homing pigeon, yeah.
Have some trumpeters, announce it.
Oh my god, and you'll still won't fucking reply.
I'll send it back by carrier pigeon.
We'll be impressed.
You'll be so impressed you'll want to show up for the game. All right, cool. Yeah, nothing like prop.
That's one of the things, though, right? Like, I mean, like Jeremy and I were in the chat together. It's like everybody's always on, with the internet, and everybody's, TV, and the kids are doing stuff, and they're all involved in activities. Like, to be able to try to schedule something like this is so difficult. Especially if you're looking at trying to get 6 different people to come to the table to play a game. The scheduling itself is can be a nightmare. Not even to get them to respond, but then, if they respond, to actually remember and show up.
How many of you guys got kids?
I do. Dan does.
Does anybody but me? Am I the only one that doesn't?
I don't have children.
Okay. Well, why don't you guys with children go sell them on the slave market, and they'll free up some time, and we could go meet a little bit more regularly.
It makes some money. So.
Yeah,
Vince, you have a very needy cat, though. I don't know. That might count.
That is true.
Yeah, sell them for some Electrum, and we'll add it to your character sheet.
The Brotherhood of the Honest Coin, selling children. Yes.
But for an honest price.
Yes. Well, the market, you gotta get fair market value.
How much Bitcoin do I get for your kid?
I just posted a link. You guys should use Discord because it lets everybody kind of like chat and kind of semi-real time.
Something else I got to sign up and give my email for?
Probably. But, move into the 21st century events.
Look,
2018.
I got enough of this shit at work. Strange. You've been invited to join Strange Heroes. What is this? Is this something?
That's just like the Discord server that I use for my friends that just play video games.
All right, let's all get off this call. Go over to Discord. I'll see you guys in 5 minutes.
I will just do everything there. I like the calligraphy scroll idea better. Less time.
No, seriously, you should do that next time. Send us invites in the mail. I mean, who does that, right?
It's true.
Well, I might be in Vegas, so don't send it. Can you send it to all 3 different addresses I could potentially be at?
I'll carbon copy it. I'll get my mimeograph machine out, Aaron. Jesus Christ.
Or send up the bat signal or something, or the clearing signal. I don't know. Something in the sky.
Just like a big finger.
I was just going to say that, actually.
Big fucking finger. Here you go. We're playing D&D tonight. There you go.
It's the asshole signal. They need me.
Oh, my God. So what is everyone playing? I mean, other than our game, is anyone playing anything these days? I mean, I know John's in like 5 fucking games. I don't even know how. You don't sleep, do you? You just.
I don't sleep much, or at least not enough. Yeah, between the games and interviews and editing and house stuff and kid stuff and going to the gym. It is what it is, right? I mean, you make time to do the things that you want to do, and I try to get as much of it as I can, and then inevitably, just leads to a crash, and then it kind of like pulls back for a little bit, and then I feel bad because I'm not doing the things I should be doing, and then I ramp back up again, and then crash again. But yeah, I mean, it's having a podcast. That is, it's what you do.
So basically, it's like a manic depressive cycle, is what you're saying.
Almost, but it's fun, right? Like, what would I be doing otherwise? Like, I get to play games and hang out with people. I mean, like, we're all over the place. I mean, we've had guys, Aaron's in Vegas tonight if we were playing. Daniel's over in the UK has played with us. Oscar's in New York, Kurt's in Wisconsin. Neil's down in Florida. Like, we're just all over, but yet because of the wonder of the technology that we have, we can all just like hang out and have a good time and play games and do the thing that we enjoy doing. And it's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. I just think back on when we were, all of us getting into D&D as old guys. And then if we had the power of the internet, we'd be ruling things. It'd be amazing. Our lives may have taken different turns. But as it stands now, we have 1 foot in the cassette age and 1 foot in the digital age.
That's for sure. And now all your discs are going to go away as they have, what is it, disc rot or something? I just saw an article on. So all of your, CDs are supposed to last forever are now all starting to decay.
Yeah, actually, the magnetic tape lasts longer, has more shelf life, as it were, than the fucking CD. Yeah.
Any of you guys ever take those? Remember those CD towers in the 90s?
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever taken your CDs and converted them all to MP3s?
I haven't. No.
It took 3 days of ripping and burning and saving. But I finally got all of it on one hard drive and then a backup hard drive. And it was painful to sell these because that was cool. That was cool to have that rack in the 90s, that 90 CD tower. Mm-hmm. Girls would walk in, and you'd think, oh, that is helping me get sex now because I have that cool CD tower. And then
and then throw this in the CD changer, baby.
Oh, I had one of those 6 CD carousel changers.
Oh, yeah.
That was a panty dropper. That showed definitely. The girls I was top notch.
Yeah. Complete panty over there. Right there. Oh yeah, I remember those. I have 2 boxes of CDs left that I have to do.
It was sad when I went to sell my CDs. I'm thinking like, oh, these are collected. These have had 20 cents, 20 cents. Oh, this is a good one. 30 cents. Fuck.
By the time you're done, you have $30 in your pocket.
Like that goddamn Columbia record company cost me.
I think all my CDs are
for like
still
vinyl. No,
I have
like
vinyl.
CDs.
I've got vinyl. Yeah,
I have some, but it's a holdover from the early '80s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I still have mine too.
Said all your
vinyl was called records. It was back in the 50s, 60s, and 70s.
I have Wikipedia, old man.
Oh, okay. All right.
Oh, man. I got Google. I know what's up.
Yeah. We had a record player growing up. Never actually used it for anything other than like scratching my parents' old records and making goofy noises and playing things at the wrong speed. But I knew in theory people used to use them for listening to music. So
what we've lost in our artistic sense is you get an album to open up, you'd have all that awesome art in there. Like I have all the Iron Maiden albums and everything, and now you get like a postage stamp size piece of art. Like it's just a different. The music is still there, but that experience of kind of flipping it over and putting the record on and just kind of going through all that stuff.
Not only that, but actually going out to like Sam Goody or Tower Records and just Tower Records was open until midnight out here. I don't know if it was out on the West Coast, but on the East Coast it was a thing. And I'm bored, whatever. You just go into Tower Records and spend an hour or two going through
flipping through titles. Yeah.
I really like the. I wish I saved it all, but the Atari 2600, you'd always get some kind of artwork in the instruction manual or something like that. The cartridge.
Yep.
And even Nintendo, I remember. Do you guys ever play Chrono Trigger?
Yeah. I still have a copy.
I saved that and all the stuff. And then one time I was moving, I'm like, okay, I'm going to get rid of this. And I don't even think I donated it to Goodwill. But yeah, that right there, I think it's worth $300. If you have the Chrono, Defender. Hey, look at that! Oh!
This is for the Atari 800 or 400, 800 computer system.
Wow.
Actually, I just got a book for Christmas which has all of the art from all of the boxes from.
Oh, cool!
Really?
Yeah.
What's the name of it?
It's called Atari Post. I think it's just called Atari Box Art or something like that. Cover art.
Oh, dude, I'm so getting that Atari Box Art.
Let me. I'll look up the link. Yeah.
I'm writing it down like an old fart. See, Sprado, in our day, we had this thing called paper, and we'd use pens. Look, I have a thing from the past.
Yeah, dip your quill, old man.
Yes.
Run out of ink.
There you go. Yeah, you could do the invitations, Aaron, with your pen.
Practice that calligraphy.
Mm-hmm.
It would please me greatly if you could attend on this September the 4th and the Lord of 2000. They have to spell out 2018.
Yeah.
2018, yes. Haha. Gabe just put the link to the. Is that your affiliate link, Gabe? We're gonna get it.
No, actually, that's the Amazon one. Here's the website for the book.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Art of Atari.
Pull that up.
Yeah.
Redirecting you to. Oh, okay. $40. What the fuck? That's probably a big.
It's totally worth it.
It's a book. It's like about this big. It's for your coffee table.
No, there you go. Oh, space. There you go. Oh, I remember Outlaw. Holy shit.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. I mean, it's got like a bunch of little stories in there about all the different art and stuff.
Yeah, it's got the cartridge patent in here too. U.S. patent April 10th, 1979, sheet 2 of 3. Mm-hmm. Patent 4149027.
And they just came out with another one called poster art of Atari or something like that. It's all the poster art from all their game promotions and stuff like that.
Okay.
Atari had like this like crazy thing in the 80s where like if you played I forget what game it was called, like Adventure or something like that, and if you found some special Easter egg, you could get, I don't know, was it Adventure? I don't know. There was some game. You played it, and like people, if they got the special Easter egg, they would get, and they sent in their name to whoever, they could get like a golden chalice or like a golden sword or shield and stuff like that. It was pretty cool. I forget what it was called though. But it was pretty much the inspiration for that book. I don't know how many of you read it. I'm reading it now. It's called Ready Player One.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember the ET cartridges buried out in Alamogordo, New Mexico?
Yeah.
And the guy went out there. He went out there and dug it up.
Yeah, it was real.
Yeah, it was real.
Yep.
But before that, the documentary. 12 years before he did it, I went out to New Mexico, not solely for this, but I brought a shovel because I thought it'd be that simple. And so I drove all the way, going through, hiking out west. I'm like, I'm going to go and find out where. So I found out it's in Alamogordo, New Mexico. And I pull into town, and this is like kind of you can look anything up on the internet days. So you had to ask around. You say, hey, where'd they bury the ET cartridges? And they say, oh, it's in this dump over there. I'm like, oh, I say, well, is it accessible? They're like, well, you could access it, but it's underneath like all this concrete. I'm like, oh, and I looked at my little shovel. I'm like, this is not going to work.
Whoops.
Nope. That was my attempt to be Indiana Jones, and it failed miserably.
There you go.
Well, at least you didn't accidentally dig up some like spent nuclear fuel rods or something.
Yeah. It's out by White Sands. It's not too far away from various nuclear tests going on
right
there.
You never know.
You got the Manhattan Project and stuff.
Aaron
Maybe there's
glows.
a big giant tarantula that was a mutant that was hidden all this time.
Aaron glows when you turn the lights off.
Yeah.
Oh shit. So what's up? So no one's all right. So no one's playing anything other than video games. Is anyone playing any tabletop? I mean, we already went through John's massive itinerary. Is anyone else playing any doing anything geekery or?
Danny, my 5-year-old son, is obsessed with the Monster Manual, and we've been trying to play, and I'm kind of like getting him into it. He doesn't like fully understand what it's about yet. I don't have like minis and boards and stuff to play with, so we're just kind of like winging it and doing drawing maps on sheets of paper and stuff like that. And so I think he's kind of becoming convinced that Dungeons and Dragons is like you're basically drawing pictures of stories that you're telling, and doesn't have anything to do with like the dice or rules or anything. So he's a little bit confused, but we're getting there. We're gonna like start doing like a regular thing. But cool. He named his character Smash Stash, which I think is a pretty radical name. And
it's a good video game. Too.
Yeah, and he's a dwarven cleric because he wanted to be able to heal, and his horse he named Stone, which I thought was cool. But
what's the horse's name?
Stone.
Stone.
Yeah, but he's enjoying it. He had some cool things. He's like trying to trick the goblins that he's stealing from, and he's kind of a natural. We just have to get over the whole like trying to DM the game and take it away from me while I'm trying to tell the story over here. Second DM.
What about second DM?
He's already on that. Trying to jack the game.
All right, so you're introducing your son to the wonderful world of Dungeons and Dragons, as well you should.
Yeah, and then I'm playing in Vince's quasi-monthly game.
Yes.
That's a lot of fun. We're doing that's 5th edition, and that's going well. We got James, Gabe. Who else is in that?
Aaron.
And Aaron. Yeah, Aaron's. Yeah, that's right. You're remotely. Sled.
Yep, I'm Sled.
Well,
I feel like we're movie stars, I'm George Clooney playing this, and Vince is Tom Cruise playing that. We're at that. Who's the guy at Harvard University who does the Actors Studio?
Oh shit! I knew you were talking.
He interviews us. It's just like that without the money, fame, girls, or the looks. That's basically what this is.
Wow. Okay.
Exactly.
Excellent. Oh shit! So Aaron, are you
unearned confidence that we get from it?
There you go. It's all about the character, baby. All right, so Aaron, you playing anything, or you just kind of like waiting for our games?
I wait for your games, but two things I have. One, I have a buddy who runs a game company, tabletop game company, so he has access to everything. So if I ever go visit him in North Carolina, me, him, and his kids, we all play, and then we go to conventions and whatever over in Raleigh. So that's kind of fun. But then I swore I bought a PS4, and in a rage after I tried to install Battlefront, and it said, "Oh, we got to download stuff like all that." I filmed a video of me taking a mallet to my PlayStation 4, and it felt very therapeutic, and it felt very good. But now there's that Zelda game that's come out, and Red Dead Redemption is coming out within the year, and I'm going to see if I could borrow a console from a buddy or something like that, because I just don't want to buy these PCs without a keyboard, and that's basically what they are. So, but Aside from that, now this is it. And then occasionally when I hang out with but like John said before, you don't have a critical mass locally enough to do anything local, so it's all on the internet for me.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, I'm playing golf, for God's sakes. That's how. I mean, I would rather play D&D. I mean, but golf is like, well, you understand. Like, once you get to this point, you're like, now I know why old people are boring, because there's nothing else to do, and you just like hit the balls. And that's all it is.
No critical hits in golf. There's no feats. There's no no spell slots. It's all just hit the ball towards the hole, man.
Just take Aaron. Just take your dice bag with you and break out the 20-sider next time you miss it.
Do you have any, dude? I hang out with baby boomers during the daytime. They have no idea what that would be. They'd look at me like, "What the hell's wrong with this kid playing with this weird looking dice?" And hey, do you want to come over and play there, Herbert? No. Be kicked off the golf course in half a second.
There's apparently a new video game out called RP Golf, where you get to role play a golf player.
What? How is that different than just a golf game?
It's probably not.
You
have stats, I guess.
Okay, but here's one. What's the RPG? How is that different from a sports game? Like, they always had outlaw golf, but what's the RPG? Like, you got to go and hit on the best golfer's trophy wife and kind of earn your way. Is this more like a Caddyshack type of thing?
Maybe you got to have enough stamina to have beers at the 19th hole or something.
Right, yeah.
Ooh, pardon me. That could be. That's cool. And how about you, Gabe? What you running any games? Are you playing any? I mean, other than your game design?
Let's see. Well, I was running a 4th edition game up until I guess last fall, but it kind of petered out because everybody just got really, really busy and doing stuff. But I really liked the campaign I was working on. It's kind of like a mix of pre-built stuff from Wizards and stuff that I would kind of like just make up on the spot.
Okay.
The party I was a DM, and the party I was playing with, they were pretty much very like enthusiastic and gung ho about making stuff up on the fly, and they had crazy ideas all the time. I had to rein them in sometimes. Sometimes they would like totally get bogged down by like trying to outthink me, and I would just be like shaking my head, just like, dude, just be the hero. Just stab him with your sword. Everything will be fine. And I think I said that once, and they all took it to heart. And they're like, all right, we just got to be the heroes. And they started playing like heroes instead of people always trying to like, figure out what the hell the best move would be.
Yeah.
I'm not particularly dangerous as a DM. Like, I do like to kind of stick it to them as far as like if they're a giant walking dragon that's 7 feet tall and they walk into a town, they're not going to be like normal. They're not going to be like, oh, hey, look, there's a dragon walking around. They're going to be, weird. But as far as like killing people, I don't really kill people. I think that's silly. They die, but then they just have to like find a way to bring them back.
Well, but that's interesting then, right? So part of playing the game is to have that sort of unknown, what's going to happen, it's up to the dice, it's completely random, whatever. If you don't ever, and not that you go after players, right? Because that's stupid. Like, that's not funny. We grew up with people who, it was GM versus players, and that's stupid. And I don't really get it, and I don't appreciate that kind of game. But if there's no risk of true PC death, it's just kind of,
there's risk that their plans, whatever they won't work, and that they have to do something other than what they were planning on doing. So the risk is the story doesn't go the exact way that they want it to go. That's the risk.
Right.
It's not necessarily that their character doesn't have to die, because why are they playing a character that's not special, right? Why are you telling the story about someone who doesn't survive? Because who cares about that guy? He's dead.
Well, then you're playing Warhammer Fantasy.
Yeah, you might as well just play. And to be honest, I like this idea. to play a war game, and to play just, set up the board. Your soldiers get out there. They might have names, they might have stats, and they do things, but they can die, and you're not really attached to them. But when you're having a campaign, and a year from now, your character's got to be remembering that time that he almost died, and that the party had to go off and do this special thing to kind of bring him back, or maybe they were all dead, and one guy had to like drag all their bodies across the swamp in a log boat or something. So those are the stories I think that they all really, really, like to tell after the game's over. It's like, I remember when I did this, and killing them and then forgetting about the character because you're bringing in a new one. It's kind of a bummer, I think.
Well, doesn't it introduce the economic philosophical aspect of too big to fail and moral hazard?
Here we go.
Oh yeah, sure. But you're telling.
No, I'm so joking. I'm so joking. I'm just joking.
I mean, you're joking, but it's true. I mean, like if nothing ever will go wrong, you can do the craziest things. But maybe sometimes that's what people want to do because they can't do the crazy shit when they're in their real life. They can't jump across that 50-foot gap between buildings.
Well, I mean, it's like anything. You have an unlimited amount of possibilities, but still, like there are rules. Like, I mean, we'll bring it back to what Aaron's favorite boring game, chess. I mean, there are rules. You can do a bunch of different things in chess, but there's still rules. So it's the same with D&D. They're, well, more like guidelines. But
my friend Christian, who's also my business partner, had this. He had a Dragonborn Paladin. And every time we played, he wanted to intimidate something. He just always wanted to intimidate it. It was like the power he thought was the most fun to do. And every time he's like, I want to intimidate that wall. And I'm like, okay, go ahead. And he would like scream at the wall, and I'd be like, nothing happened. He did want to punch through the wall one time, and he did do it. Somehow he managed to roll the die and punched right through the wall and grabbed the skeleton or whatever was on the other side.
You have made an enemy for life, wall.
Sometimes that it works out. You hit that natural 20, and you're just like, wow, you intimidated that wall. It is so scared that it fell down.
Well, all I know is Sled. Now that I know this, Sled's going to get bailed out by the Federal Reserve. I was playing pretty risky as per his character, but now that I'm invincible, and Janet Yellen's just going to bail me out all the time. Well,
Federal Reserve of Waterdeep. Yes.
Well, in Vince's game, the previous one, when I was playing Blackfeather, I think a lot of the party got mad at me because Blackfeather wouldn't always do what was right for the party. He would go looking for some strange glowing bauble in the middle of a lake.
Oh, like when you went to the through that portal.
Yeah, and everyone else is like, "What are you doing
every goddamn time?"
It's like, yeah, but adventure and shiny things.
And to be fair, he was a crow, right? I mean, like that's
a bird, yeah.
Kenku are crows, right? Yeah.
Our campaign was following the sociopathic bird around and trying to clean up his his messes.
Who never talked.
Attacked guards people,
and James was the only person who could understand what the hell he was saying.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was fun. But yeah, everybody has their own like play style and things that they find fun. Especially like 4th edition. I enjoyed the combat system. I thought that was, I mean, it was built for combat more than anything else. It was, they don't really have a whole lot in terms of like exploration rules. They abstracted all the like skills and stuff to this, challenge system.
That's what I think is really cool about it.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the battle part. Yeah, I enjoyed the focus on strategy and tactics and stuff like that.
It just took so long to do it. Like I agree, I loved 4th edition, but we'd play a game and it would be 4.5 hours of one combat. All right, great guys, that was a minute and a half. I'll see you guys next month. Like,
it was absurd. Yeah. That's like the Matrix, like everybody time slows down and everybody like plans out every strike or something, and like
with my campaign with these other guys, I would change it up. Like every other week, it would be 1 week it's encounter, 1 week it's just them role playing and doing weird skill challenges and stuff like that, or like just very free forming it. And that kind of kept that from being too intense. That combat encounter part of it.
If you're homebrewing, I mean, you can certainly set that up, and you know your players, and you kind of read them, and you know what they want. I think for the most part, air quotes, whatever, D&D is a game about combat. I mean, people are playing D&D to have that heroic fantasy. I can do things that I can't do in my normal life, where other games aren't necessarily that. Like our Day Trippers game, it's it's dark drama. It's not combat really at all. And there's other systems, like even Fear Itself. Fear Itself's a slasher game, but it's 1d6. Like you have a d6 to roll, add a number or don't, and you're it's done. It's quick. It's very fast paced. But with that being said, you can play Fourth as a heavy role-playing RPG style game if that's what your group is into, but I think that's the group that you're in, much less than like what the expectation is for D&D. If you're like, hey, let's play D&D, my expectation is we're going to fight shit and kill monsters, and that's what the game is going to be.
You've heard about those younger kids that are playing D&D, but they don't fight. They want to be pacifists.
I hear things like, on Twitter and stuff like that, where people are concerned, again, air quotes, that there are other resolutions in game, and games shouldn't just be about, might and combat and whatever. And
you know what? If you here, all right, whoever's watching, if that's what you think, you're an idiot. You play these games. You make it up what you want it to be. If you want it to be passive, then you do that. You want to I don't keep politics out of my games. All right?
What, me?
No, not you. The watchers in the water there. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, they I just, when I heard that, I just shook my head. I'm like, that has got to be the most boring game ever.
There's games out there that actually do that. But they they're not D&D. There's other games, right? Yeah. And they have different systems for doing all those different things. D&D, as a game published by Wizards, that's not something that the rules follow.
Is it called Safe Space, or what is it called?
You can role play it, but
Safe Space, the new RPG.
Well, there's games that are more about role playing, and there's like
storytelling and
stuff like that. Yeah,
right. SimCity-ish sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you could do D&D, like Gabe mentioned politics. Like if you want to do a game of court intrigue that's based in a city, and there's whatever, but like that's your group and that's what they want to do, then yeah, that's cool as fuck. Like I would probably play that game because I just love to role play. Like I love to roll dice too, but I mean, we'll play whole sessions of whatever game that we're playing, and I mean, we'll play Fear Itself and not roll dice at all for 3.5 hours. Like it's just all RP and storytelling and whatever. And I love that just as much as I love rolling a D20 and adding plus whatever to hit the orc or the goblin,
Did anybody play Guns and Butter as a kid in school? It's like something we did in our social studies class, was like play this game called Guns and Butter. And it was basically everybody picked, like there were teams of kids, and we all got, like 2 of us or 3 of us got to be a country, and you had to like manage resources and negotiate with the other teams, which are other countries. And the whole point of the game was not to go to nuclear war, because you would just like kill everyone. So you had to like negotiate between each other and learn how to figure out how to trade and resources and make deals and stuff like this, because we found that to be super fun. Well, then of course there was one team that just stockpiled nuclear weapons and blew everyone up anyway. But it's like it's a real life lesson that you learn how to. You can't solve everything by bludgeoning it with an axe. And how do you do that? How do you solve those problems without bludgeoning someone over the head with an axe? And that could also be an interesting, problem to solve. It doesn't just have to be
a mace. That's so you can
use a mace or a sword. Yeah. You can stab them with a dagger. Roll your D4 for damage.
And that's before you even get into spells, fireballs and all
There
that
you
stuff.
go. A gust of wind. Right?
Do the Wile E. Coyote drop rock from sky?
There you go. Acme Batman suit.
Apply taxes to your population so that you can build your tanks or build farms or schools and stuff. It was pretty cool for like 10-year-olds to play. I thought it was a pretty cool experience.
Is that a game like that is published and sold?
Guns and butter? Let me see.
Or is it like something like the teacher kind of found and brought into the classroom?
It was based on Guns N' Roses, but they really took it a different direction.
It's Axl Rose's later years. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an actual game.
Okay.
Here's the
heard
website.
of it. Sounds interesting.
Yeah, we played it in social studies, like in middle school or something. Guns and Butter. It has a website and a podcast, apparently.
Here it is, Guns and Butter.
Yeah.
Oh, this is the production possibilities frontier to introduce more economics to this to make it even more geeky.
Yeah, so it's about problem solving, and it's not about combat, but it's kind of like a role playing game because you're playing a country and you have to negotiate your country's stance with these other countries, other players.
All right, I'm copying this in. I'm going to throw this in the show notes for anybody who wants to check it out.
So yeah, we got Dungeons and Dragons, which is primarily a combat-based game.
It was but yes and no. I mean,
an exploration.
The whole thing was predicated on cooperative gaming. And there's little extra things you choose to do within it. It's whatever you want to do, whether that's negotiating, whether that's just hack and slash, or a mixture of them both. I mean, it's up to it's whatever the players and the DM come to sort of a consensus with. I mean, I guess as a dungeon master, you could say, "Hey, we're playing this kind of game. Have at it." Well, all right, that's fine, and you either choose to do that or not.
So let me ask you about that then, because I read an article someone posted about a session. Session zeros, are they good or are they bad? Mm-hmm. And he was essentially it's bad because you kind of know your players, and it's sort of then becomes like a sort of standoffish. I'm very loosely paraphrasing that. I don't know, whatever. I love a session zero, and we didn't do it. Coming into the D&D game, but we had been playing on and off, and sort of an established game already. Do you think that a new campaign, even with your existing group, your guys you normally play with, would you want to have a session zero to kind of talk about what expectations or like party cohesion? Like, if you want to play the ranger, I'll play the cleric or whatever. Me personally, I love it.
It as a marketing tool and as content fodder, it's great. I've never found a need to do that myself. I mean, that could be a discussion before the game, or like say our games are online live streamed. Sitting with the players beforehand and discussing that. Now, if you are doing a live stream game, yeah, that could be interesting to a lot of people, yourself included. That'd be cool. So you would include that in there. I think most people, especially, well, maybe like you said, maybe that players you're used to. If you're switching over to a new game system, maybe you would do that. You give an introduction. This is how this is going to run. These are the rule set that I would want to use, and this is sort of how fundamentally I would like you to comport yourselves. You could do that too. But I think if you're doing anything online, you're sharing content with people, a session zero can be fun. Yeah. Absolutely. And beneficial.
Yeah, I think it just kind of sets everybody up to be sort of on the same page. Especially like if you're a group that plays D&D all the time, and you're like, hey, let's play, I don't know, Last Girl. It's a one-shot slasher. You rip up, you have like a pool of characters, you kind of switch from scenes, you play different characters and stuff like that. Like, that's a completely different experience. So just to kind of sit and be like, okay, these are the sort of archetypes I think we should have. This is, maybe sort of, how the game, I think is going to go. It doesn't necessarily have to be like a complete I mean, we've done it for the podcast where we've, like for the Rogue Trader, we've gone through, we've created the warrant, we've created the ship, we've, sort of crafted backstories online. And I don't know, I think it gives everybody sort of a touchstone. You can establish crossover and backstories, between characters. If people want to do that or not do that, whatever. I don't know. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's like introductions of the games, like when we were doing our live streams at the beginning of each one, whether it was number 1 or number 8, you go ahead and you go around and introduce, and you do sort of a scene report of what happened in the last game, which is always good. And then you could also add, if you wanted to add backstory to that as well, or maybe hey, my character is thinking of doing this session. We'll see if that turns out that way.
Yeah, like a pre sort of session 1 thing, like before each session, like a
before a whole campaign. No, before the whole campaign.
Okay.
A half hour or so of just saying, hey, this is my character. This is where I want this person to go. This is the backstory. Like, my character knows this character this way. This happened like this, and that's why we're here.
Now, is it more of so is it? I haven't done a session 0, and now is it more of a does it have to do with how the DM expects like the party like dynamics to run, or just like what the campaign is going to be about, and some of the campaign backstory?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean all that stuff. Yeah.
Everything. Okay, so it's like in-game stuff and metagame stuff, like
Yes. And then maybe you would get to one encounter, at least the introduction.
Okay, that's cool. Now, John, have you run some of those? Like, have you done session 0s?
Yeah, we did for the Rogue Trader game, and for our Cypher system game, we did session 0. And I had never played Cypher. Jesse had never run Cypher before, so it was kind of imperative for us to sort of have a conversation about like rules and how the characters fit in the world. Like we do a lot of character interaction stuff, backstory stuff, and things like that. And it's good for the GM too, right? Because then it gives the GM hooks. Like if I mention my favorite brother or a long lost uncle or something that's in the backstory, it gives the GM then a hook into that player. If you're playing, I assume everyone's invested, or else why are you playing? But if you're like 3 sessions in and the GM is like, oh, and you get a letter from your Uncle Bob, who's having, oh shit, oh, that's so cool, and maybe there's like, if you're playing in person, maybe there's like an actual letter, or maybe there's a graphic if you're using Google Hangouts or something. Like it begins to tie all those things together.
That could be fun. Yeah. It's very interesting. And is it kind of like, has it gone like kind of collaboratively between the players and the DM, like as far as like coming to consensus, or is it like the game master like lays down the law and then like everybody can say their piece or whatever? Like, I guess.
I mean, if you have that kind of a relationship with the GM, maybe you want to find a new GM.
Yeah.
I mean, because it's a cooperative storytelling game. Even if you're killing monsters, it's still, everybody is telling a piece of their story, whether it's, an elaborate 12-page backstory or, just the way the character sort of comports themselves, during the game or whatever.
Yeah, it's like you said, you're there. Everyone is there for a common purpose, as it were. So you would assume that,
I mean, it could be though, right? So for the podcast, like we didn't do a session 0 for the D&D game, and things sort of evolved organically. But it's like, hey, we're recording. Mute your phones. No eating in the microphone. If you're, have to take a phone call, make sure you mute. Like those sorts of things, which would be more germane for what we do here. But it could be that as well. Like, hey, you're coming over. We play once a month. No phones. Don't bring your laptop. Make sure your kids have babysitters, your wife. So like, it could be that sort of expectation. I think that's reasonable. Like we're all pressed for time, like seriously pressed for time. And, if you've got a once a month game, like we're in it, let's hit it. We've got 4 hours. Let's, not that you're rushing or whatever, but like, let's get as much as we can out of this. Yeah.
True that.
Gotcha.
Well, so sort of on the heels of that, then, do you guys, as players, do anything in particular to sort of prep for a game? Is it, do you pre-roll your dice to get the ones out? Do you are in the bathroom kind of like rehearsing a character voice, or do you like have something that you hold on to that maybe your character would have, like a set of dice, or like a brooch, or something that like give you a touchstone to your character?
Well, I definitely try to get into character, and I try to remove myself from it. And then always, I always read through my character traits and make sure, like, for one thing, we had a lot of opportunities didn't present itself, but anytime there's a game of chance, Sled's supposed to go and do that. But we're usually in the middle of we're transitioning to one place or another, and I'd probably like to do that a little bit more. But yeah, separating yourself from your character is one of the key things. Oh, thankfully, my character is an asshole. So it's not that I can draw from my vast worldly years of experience to play the character. But yeah, definitely getting into character before I play the game is something I do.
I like to look at, think a little bit about my character's backstory and what things I think are interesting, and see like how I can kind of work them into the game a little bit. And then also kind of think about things that, like, after having played a session or two, like, I don't think that would work, or that wouldn't be very fun. Or, this character is like, going like a different direction. Like in the one game the 4th edition game I was in with John, I had this character. I started off with like a kind of a really sort of a serious character concept, kind of like this like, strong, silent, anime, badass type of dude, like that horrible cliche. And he just kind of totally, but he was an alcoholic, and it just, instead of being like the surly alcoholic guy, like when it came time to actually play the game, he kind of became like the goofy comic relief drunken guy. So I went off in like a totally different direction than I had imagined it, but it was like way more fun that way. So I don't know. So then like between sessions, I would kind of think of like, okay, what parts of this character concept do I want to continue to work into it? What do I want to change, and that kind of thing?
I have a horrible habit of not being prepared at all, and and relying on James to answer all my questions.
Yeah.
Really? That's so weird.
Yeah, we didn't. Hey, we didn't notice that at all.
Yeah, I hide it pretty well, right?
You do.
James, what spells do I have?
I think James wanted to kill you when you played Blackfeather with the goddamn backstabbing. It's the same dice every time.
You can only do two things. You're an Essentials character. You have a +8 and you backstab.
You can run or you can fight. That's it. Oh my god.
So little or nothing then is your answer.
I like to make it all up at the time I need to know it.
Gotcha. Well, that's what I did last game, actually, so I can't complain.
I'm just thankful that we review what happened, in last episode, this happened, because half the time I'm drunk, I'm like, shit, what did happen last episode? What did Sled do? Who are we?
Oh, Sled gave all of his money away to charity.
Yeah.
Sled gave it to charity.
Yeah, charity. That
No, that wasn't that joke ever.
That's no.
You know what? My favorite, one of my favorite games when you guys were down, or no, you were in the warehouse, and you were interrogating Sled's brother. You had just captured him. That was
Ned.
That was fun role playing.
Yeah.
Sled and Ned, yeah.
Trying to get him drunk.
What yeah, there was some good role playing
rolling
moments
a
in
1.
that.
That was great. Just stumbled boxes, threw our whole plan off. Like, well, plan B, fuckers.
That's usually how it goes.
Start shooting.
Well, that goes back to kind of like what Gabe was saying. Like, you're okay, we've got a plan, we're going to do it. And then the first die roll, and you're like, fuck, all right, well, here we go.
Whoops.
Could you imagine if that, like, General Eisenhower in the preparation for D-Day and he rolled a 1? All that preparation gone. You'd hear the biggest fuck from that bald guy in the history flags.
Best
Captain of the SS Critical Failure.
Yeah. Well, it's funny, Aaron. You say that you try to remove yourself, from the character, whether in jest or not, because I feel like when people ask me about role playing games, people don't understand, and you play this character, or whatever. And it's like I feel that each character that I play, in some form or fashion or another, is a little piece of myself. Like I find it hard to divorce. Like Dan was saying, his character changed in my game. My concept for Aaron in the Fear Itself game was something that it's completely morphed over the course of just a couple of sessions to be not what I had originally envisioned.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what it says about me, but most characters that I play across systems, it doesn't matter, have an alcohol problem or some other just decadent kind of whatever. And I'm not an alcoholic in real life. I don't drink that much, but it seems Go ahead.
It was by pure coincidence. All I did, because you guys say, "Oh, we're starting," and I'm like, and I had a very short time, and it had been years since I played. So I said, "Okay, I'm just going to grab the first pre-made character sheet I find," and it was eerie. 5'9", 149 pounds, brown hair, blonde, brown eyes. He's an alcoholic. He likes gambling. He's a chaotic neutral. I'm like, fuck, is his name Aaron Clary? No, it's something else. But then I also wanted to he gets a little bit of a backstory about I'm not gonna play, but you can't. It's kind of like when you write books. Vince can testify to this. I'm working on a fictional piece, and I do not want to have this character be me. You always have that tendency, but it's impossible to fully remove yourself because you're the conduit by which your character is played or your character you write in a book. And so I don't let it bother me, but I always make it like this is not Aaron, because I get to be Aaron Clary every fucking minute of my life. I want to be somebody else, someone different, and it's challenging unto itself to play something different that you're not in the daytime.
I want to be Dan Mulhern, but who can solve all of his problems with fireballs and swords and magic items. But no, to your point, seriously, yeah, I agree. Yeah, you want to make it interesting. You don't want to be, but so it's you have some part of yourself in that, but you want to make it more interesting, more funnier, or just a little more
an
bizarre.
Escape. You just want to be an escape. I just want to, I don't want to be me. I don't want to be a banker. I want to instead of an asshole banker, I want to be an asshole archer ranger, frankly, is what it is.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want to solve your problems with spreadsheets. Fuck that.
I haven't worked on a spreadsheet in years. It's great.
That's great.
What brought it home for me a little bit in I don't know, one of our early Rogue Trader games, John Bessie, I guess we call him in game, his character went down. And I'm playing the road, and Warhammer is dark as fuck. You eat people, it's dystopian as all get out. And playing the Rogue Trader, I'm like, oh my god, we got to help Jarnan, he's down. And Jesse's character goes over, kind of toes his guts back in with his boot, burns it up with the flamer, seals and cauterizes all back up, and he's like, he's fine. And I'm like, I am not playing this game the right way. I have to remedy that. Because it was just me coming through, it was just a disconnect to the world and my place in it. And I think it's been fixed. And instead of being dark as fuck, he's more smarmy face guy. He's still, drinking and, whatever, but it makes more sense in the continuity of the world then to be what he is now, as opposed to oh my god, I just totally did this the wrong way.
The problem that, John, it's not a problem I have with you, but it's kind of weird. You have the exact same I could see where some LARPing, not a lot, just a touch, but because you have such a distinct voice, when you play, was it Crixie?
Corixies, yeah.
Yeah. I'm just like, oh no, that's John. Because even if I haven't done, no, that's John. It's John.
Well, see that it's
I don't
funny.
see a dragon, I see John.
Well, I didn't. So I do two voices. So the Cypher game is more of I'm a Batman kind of low gruff voice. And then shit, I guess that's it for the podcast. The other ones was one shots. Like I've done a Southern accent or whatever, but I didn't go in thinking like, oh, I should, come up with a whole vocal style, maybe like a stutter or something that sort of sets the characters apart. And I feel like that's where my role playing falls apart a little bit. Like I listen to the Fandible podcast. I've been listening to them forever, and they're phenomenal. I mean, their ability to capture a character's essence and maintain it through consistent stories to me is amazing. And that's kind of what I strive for failingly. And I feel like if I had set out each game and said, okay, I'm going to try this voice in this one, I'm going to try this voice in this one, I think maybe that would have worked a little bit better. But, I play a lot of games. And when we went back to play with Oscar again, we just played the Wayward Shepherdess, which was a follow-up to our Clockwork Oracle game for Cthulhu Invictus. I went back and I listened to the thing, and I'm like, oh, it's just me. I didn't do anything. Fuck. All right, well, here we go. So it's just me again. It's me in another game as opposed to, Lucius Marius or whatever. It's, like Aaron said, it's John playing a Roman centurion. Like, all right, it is what it is.
John with this. I half expect if I ever come down there and ride on my motorcycle, you just answer with a sword. Oh, hey, how's it going?
Just smiting some goblins.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's actually about the voices and stuff. I've been, I mentioned earlier, I have a 5-year-old. So at one point, and still occasionally, he would ask me to tell him stories. So I kind of took that as an opportunity to work on stuff like that, like with D&D and gaming in the back of my mind, because I've always wanted to be like a great storyteller. Like I always admire people who can just tell a story, and I suck at it. And so I took that as a challenge to kind of work on that and work on voices and timing and coming up with twists and stuff. And it's been a lot of fun, and it's really hard. It's like after telling a bedtime story to my 5-year-old son, I feel mentally exhausted. It's just it's a lot of work to think up and kind of try to embody characters on the fly. And that's, that's what a dungeon master has to do.
Right.
I used to do that with my daughter when she was little. So it was all Disney princesses. So I'm doing 4 different, princess voices or whatever. And yeah, by the time you're done, you're like, oh, jeez, are we done with this book now?
John, can you do one of the princess voices for us now?
I haven't done one in forever. I need some
dialogue. Do Ariel. Do Moana or whatever the latest one is.
Squeeze your nuts. You'll sing.
Can you sing one of the songs?
Yes.
I haven't seen a Disney movie in forever.
Aladdin. Come on, sing A Whole New World for us.
I don't think anybody wants to hear that.
Aladdin, you can play the princess, whatever her name was.
Hey, I was rapping Intergalactic the other night while we were playing.
What, the Beastie Boys song? Wow.
It was more of a filler. I don't even remember what the fuck we were playing. It must have been the Rogue Trader game. And I guess somebody was looking up a rule or something where somebody just said it and they're like, oh, you should totally play the thing. And I'm like, well, I can't do it now, but.
These kids don't even know who Beastie Boys is. Now I feel old because you don't know who the Beastie Boys are? Let me tell you. We used to fight for our right to party. We drove all night to Brooklyn.
You sound like the old guys in the
40s?
No, you sound like the 3 old guys in Cowboy Bebop.
Oh,
goddamn son of a
bitch! Goddamn son of a bitch!
Yeah, we used what the hell
like there was no tomorrow.
You spread seeds of your own kind, didn't you, huh? Every time you do that voice, that's what I think of.
And these kids nowadays don't know Cowboy. Cowboy Bebop is 20 years old. this year.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yep.
We'll have to do like
That's crazy.
a live stream.
Yep.
Cowboy Bebop talk.
You know how hard it is to get your parents to watch Cowboy Bebop till they get it? Why are they in space? What's with the guy's arm? Did he use it in a battle? Does he wear the same clothes all the time? Whoa!
Wait, she might as well wear nothing. When she look the way she's looking now, she's all revealed, the tits hanging out.
Why does she have weird yellow pants? What's with those suspenders?
Is that a boy or a girl? I don't understand.
That one
I'm like, watch it till they get the fucking dog, and then you'll get it. Once you get to Ein, then it all makes sense.
Yeah.
But
there you go.
what's a Wulon?
Oh shit, that's funny.
Yeah, I got my kid for that. We watched the first 2 seasons of Parasite. We were watching Attack on Titan. She was watching a bunch of other shit. I'm like, I don't have fucking time for
You had
that.
your little daughter watch Attack on Titan?
She's 17 now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she's not little anymore. Yeah, she keeps me young. I'm into what the kids are into.
You're hip, aren't you?
I'm hip to the jive, brother.
I'm hip. I'm with.
I got little nieces coming online, and they're great because they think whatever I do is great. So there's like no sales pitch. They just, paper airplanes. He's God, and let's feed ducks. He's God. Here's some ice cream. He's God. And so when they're a little older, I want to get them into like Cowboy Bebop, Samurai Champloo.
Oh yeah.
So they at least or even Bugs Bunny. So they at least think like this is cool, because then they'll become teenagers and like he's safe boring, he's square, and I won't be cool Uncle Aaron anymore.
There you go. There's a small window of opportunity to get those things in.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna show my fossil collection. We're gonna go hiking. We're gonna do all that cool stuff, and then the day they turn, I think 11 is when they turn evil against you, or they're just indifferent about everything. Then
that's when the chemicals get dumped in their body.
Yeah. But right now it's awesome. I mean, anything you want to do, anything, they're just excited to do it, and because they don't know any better.
Yeah, everything is new. Everything is novel and amazing.
Oh,
it's great.
Not like now.
No, I'm so bored with stuff now.
Yeah.
Which is why this is great escapism. I'm like, oh, cool. We get to go into some magical world where my brain actually believes falsely that we're here. And then after it's done, it's like, oh, shit, life. Yeah, that thing.
Yeah. Oh, it's 11 o'clock and I still have to take a shower and then get up at 4:30 to go to work. Cool.
Shit. Well, that's the way the cookie crumbles.
You ever get excited? You look forward to changing oil because you get to do it yourself. You get a little bit, man, like, hey, I get to change oil today. All right.
I actually did that today.
Yeah. You finish it. There's a modicum of self-satisfaction. It's not like commuting or going to an office.
I'm actually driving up to Phoenix this weekend for a gaming convention, so I was like, I should probably do that before I put like a couple of 100 miles on my car.
I wish I would have put that into my plans. Unfortunately, my girlfriend's flying out this weekend here to Vegas, but I would have, if I had known that, I would have gone. I am tentatively going back to Phoenix once I get on my bike and the weather gets going. But it's always good to geek out in person.
Yeah. This is fun. Like, playing games, especially if you don't have another option, playing games online is fun. It's different than being in person. And it's better than not playing at all, but it's not the same as all sitting around the table. It's
right. You don't have the exact same odors playing online as you normally do.
Oh, there's that. The special D&D Legends of Tabletop deodorant.
You always have that fat kid that never wore the deodorant, and we never told him anyway not to. I don't know why no one, but we had him. I can remember him right there. There was always that guy.
There's one in every group, but if you go to a convention, there's tons of them.
Yeah.
They're all under one roof.
We never had that guy in our group. Oh, wait a minute.
That's because you were that guy.
You guys ever have a girl in your group or no?
Yeah, we have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Becomes either the default tomboy, and then everybody's kind of sheepishly hitting on her, but they don't want to alienate her because it's the only girl.
It's usually the girlfriend that's there because she wants either be overly involved in what you're doing, or she just wants to give it a shot because, all right, I'll give this a shot. And usually it's a flaming wreckage.
Yeah, we played when Vince and I first got together and we were playing. She probably wasn't my wife at the time. I guess girlfriend. I guess at that point, still probably, right?
Yeah, you guys hadn't.
Were you having sex or not?
Yeah. Oh, we were. I think we were living together.
Well, then you weren't married. You were boyfriend girlfriend.
And Vince's girlfriend, like they, like we wanted to play, and Vince's brother wanted to play, and they were like, whatever, we'll try it, and it wasn't like they didn't care so much.
That's it.
They were like, we'll play, whatever.
There was no real like serious investment in it, and you could sense that it was subtle, but you could sense it, and it threw off the fucking table dynamic. I hated it.
But I've had in our game, Dan, Josh was never fully invested. Like you couldn't see because you were online, but he'd be at the table, playing Candy Crush while we're, doing a thing. Like I get when it's not your turn in combat, but because the combat takes a while and it's dynamic. Like, okay, if you're going to move over here, I can get a flank. Shit, I'm not going to do that when my turn comes up because I know nobody else can get there. I'll move in. So you're always kind of calculating and moving where he's just, kind of not quite as involved, which is why I started, kind of rewarding you guys for role playing and, giving you bonuses on things to make you guys more involved.
In it, yeah.
Yeah.
It's tough. It is tough with that system because for exactly that reason, because it's a lot of like mental effort to focus and plan your attack. And you have to like be pretty strategic because you could fuck things up, but the turns are long and you can't like finish your last turn and then plan your next turn because by the time you go, like everybody's position is so relevant and important to what you're going to do that it's, you have to wait until your turn comes up to really decide what you're going to do again. Yeah. And then that takes forever. But,
see, the thing that always threw me about James is very knowledgeable, very good. Like he knows the rules in and out, but it's also very mechanical. And like for me, because of the podcast now, I really don't like that. Like I get it. And it's a numbers game and especially for D&D, but I hate it as a player. I would rather not meta things at all if I could get away from it and just let things develop as they happen and hopefully it works out. And if not, well, shit, whatever.
Yeah. No, I agree.
I
have a little bit
having James there because I could do whatever I wanted, but if I needed to have his advice, I could just
you don't bother learning the rules. Just ask James.
Or just say what you actually want to do and he'll tell you the correct thing to do.
Yes.
I think that's great.
I want to do this.
I don't
ask Eves, but
I don't
just ask James.
Why don't you attack that guy? He's already bloodied. Or like, I gotta fight that guy.
I don't need to remember those things because he remembers them for me, and that frees me up to play the game. So I think every game should have its rules layer.
So basically,
I am happy with that.
James he can just run combat.
Play your character is what you're saying.
Yeah. We can all role play, and James could just run the combat for us.
No, he role plays too, but that's the thing. Like he knows all the rules, and then he does a great job role playing. And if that's the player, if that's the role he wants to take as a player, that's awesome.
Yeah, but I'm kind of like that too. Like I'm more on the side of like wanting to maximize, get the best possible attack in and do the damage. So I'm with James on that. Like, trying to metagame. Like I understand it's wrong, but I can't help it. Like I like I want to always trying to get the best turn in possible or think of an angle. But yeah, that's the part I enjoy. Yeah. Well, yeah.
Try to do the worst thing possible and trying to put yourself at a disadvantage. I'm gonna stand on my head, turn around, and shoot the bow and arrow with my weaker hand. I mean,
But think about, but like talking like out of character, but like, all right, well, if you do this and then wait for me to do that, and then we can, gang up on this guy, and that kind of thing, I guess is more like kind of out of game strategizing. Yeah.
You don't even know what that is, do you?
Wait, what now?
The Wonder Power Twins Unite?
Oh yeah. Form off
an ice dildo.
Oh, I had to watch the reruns. They weren't on. But
what was the monkey's name? Aaron, what was the little fucking monkey's name? I forget.
Jeep?
Cheap or Jeep? Yeah, maybe it was Jeep.
Hang on, what was the monkey's name?
Yeah, it was Chim Chim in Speed Racer.
The problem is there was like a monkey in every Hanna-Barbera cartoon, I think. So.
Yes. Magilla Gorilla. It's
Grape Ape.
Grape Ape.
Yeah. You know what? I ran into these, not kids, they're in their younger 30s. They had no idea who Foghorn Leghorn was.
What?
Yeah, and I had to like show them on the internet, and they did not find him funny. I'm like, how do you not find Foghorn Leghorn funny? They thought I was crazy.
I said, boy, boy's about it. A bright, nice kid, but a little dumb.
Pay attention, boy. You're not paying attention, son.
That's one thing. I don't know where you watch Looney Tunes cartoons anymore, except for like badly uploaded YouTubes.
Yeah. Boomerang is probably the only place you're going to be able to find it. And even some of those now were edited for content because they're offensive.
Yeah.
I want to see Daffy Duck slap Hitler in the face.
Exactly.
Okay, Gleek. Gleek is the name of the monkey in the Wonder Power. I was very close.
Isn't gleeking when you accidentally spit on someone when you're talking?
Want me to look that up too?
Yeah.
Yeah, but so Dan, I think we were playing our Wayward Shepherdess game. I had a thought in character that, like in the midst of what was going on wouldn't have been conveyed. And I'm like, oh, and Oscar was like, well, no, what is it? And I'm like, no. No, because there's no way to transfer that information in the game. We're going to see how this fucking plays out. But if it's something like, there's description of action and, because we don't live in that world, we don't know what a Roman centurion may or may not know about the particular area. I'm okay with, hey, would, Dan's character know because you're playing a bard, what that music is we hear in the tavern, or, who the famous composer in this town would be. And I don't find that as much meta as like, what would we actually know if you didn't have that thought? Because maybe I'm thinking it's relevant in some way. And that's not something you're thinking of, but maybe your character would know that.
You can kind of ask a leading question rather than say, yo, Joe, roll your perception about this, that. That's true. Yeah. You can make it like more kind of like, less metagamey.
Well, what I found is that when you're in battle, is like, what's happening to everybody because the DM's there and everybody's playing. But would your character actually know that that's, like if there's a battle going on in another room? So I always try and play my character like, okay, he wouldn't know that there's this over there or that over there. So, that's another thing of trying to disassociate, not necessarily disassociate yourself from the character, but like an intellectual honesty of like, well, okay, your character wouldn't have universal knowledge of everything that's going on.
You can't see the board from above and, where the guys are behind the columns and shit like that.
Right. Player character, player character and character knowledge, is a different thing. It's, one of the things like where you make a perception check. Oh, I rolled a 1. Okay. Well, and it's whatever the GM says. And that's the way he proceeds. Like, oh, you hear voices, whether there's voices. Okay. There's voices. I hide in the closet or I kick the door down or whatever it is, because you have to roll, even though you rolled a 1, this is what I'm being told. This is the way I'm going to proceed with my character, even though I know it's going to be bad.
Yeah.
This is what we're doing because this is what my character knows in this instant,
It doesn't matter because we'll get bailed out by the Federal Reserve and Dungeon Master. We're going to live forever.
Yeah.
Our buddy Glenn, he played in a campaign that Vince was running with us. He was also running a game for us on the side, so like alternating weeks we were playing, and we got into a spot where he should have killed the entire party and he didn't, and I was kind of disappointed. I'm like, you really should have killed us, and he was like, and I'm like, but everything after this is almost meaningless because it was real bad. Like people just couldn't roll. We got surrounded. Like it was just a terrible, terrible situation. And we got through it and people got hurt. They go down, whatever. But it was kind of like, it wouldn't have played out this way, you know?
Then in the future, like there's not the tension there. You're not like, does my decision in this combat actually matter? Because whatever I do, it'll all work out in the end. So it kind of like lessens your sense of like actually like mattering to the outcome of the game.
Yeah. See, my goal when I was running for you guys was to take at least one person down in every combat, because then it creates a scenario. Oh shit, they failed a roll for their death save. Do I help or do I fight these other monsters now because we're not even anymore because that guy's down or that girl's down or whatever. So it creates tension in the moment of, I don't know what to do right now. Do I help or not help? Like what's going to happen,
Well, wouldn't that kind of be determined by your character's, morality matrix or your allegiance or alliance or something like that? I mean, if you're going to play it, that would almost, I know it would create good tension. Like, oh crap, Sprado's down. What do we do? And but if you're with your character, it's like my character wouldn't give a shit. He just would continue on.
Right.
Well, even just tactically, if you just want to like survive the combat, if your goal is not, you don't give a shit about Spritel in the long term. You're like, after this fight, I'm gonna rob him and leave. Just like tactically to survive the combat, what's your best option? Is it to like give him a potion or just try and take down that one guy who looks like he only has a few hit points left? Like, like that kind of thing. So
the correct answer is take all of his money, then give him the potion, then go fight the other guy.
Yeah. But you're right though, because you can have that character. Because if you're like a barbarian, like who's just like a murder machine, he's not going to stop to like feed somebody a potion. He's just going to keep going. But so like the characters, you're right. The character's personality does have an effect on that, and that could make for really interesting games.
Absolutely.
Cool. Well, I was going to say we're getting long, but before we wrap, what is it about D&D or tabletop gaming or even board gaming, these kind of geeky things that we're involved with? What keeps bringing you back to the table? What is it about D&D or whatever it is that you're playing that really just gets its hooks into you?
Well, for me, there's several things. One, it brings me back to my youth. D&D was an exciting time for me. It was really cool. It was my creative outlet before I started writing, and it's still a lot of things that I have in D, like the Wandering Company novel I'm writing, which is about halfway done. That's based on a lot of the D&D adventures that I ran. So, but then we talked about this earlier, like having people at the table. So I have a few people at the table, and I have friends that are across the country, and that bringing you all together for a common purpose, for some storytelling and 4 hours of getting away from reality. It's fantastic. You can't. I can find there's not too many other things I'd rather be doing. So that's.
Yeah, I think it's hanging out with friends and stuff, getting to do things that you don't do on an everyday basis, because we don't play board games every day, and because we don't have anything else to do. I mean, we get together like over a weekend or something like that, and we get to have a few beers, talk, shoot the shit, all that kind of stuff, and that I think is what makes it fun, because I could just sit here and play video games all day, and that is a completely different experience. So
that's true.
Yeah, like in a video game, you always run into the invisible wall somewhere. Like you'll see something over in the field over there, and you go up to the fence and you try to jump over. You can't jump over because there's nothing over there. Like that's the end of the game. But there's nothing like that in D&D. It could just keep going. It can be, you know, whatever you want. You know, you could go into business, you know, start a company and build that. You could found a town. Like it's so open-ended. You could.
I'm sensing a
trigger his
I'm sensing a plot theme.
Buried murderous rage. But yeah, so there's that, and I also just like I love creating characters and like thinking about what kind of cool shit they could do, and then like when you're actually playing in D&D and having it happen, it doesn't just exist in your head. It's like, you know, it's happened between like this group of people and like it's interplayed with other characters and stuff. So it's I like that kind of idea of creating a character and seeing what they could do in the D&D world.
I say life sucks, and it really sucks for smart people. And because it's so freaking boring, and that's why one of the things I liked about D&D is you got smarter than average people. Every once in a while you get an idiot in there, that's fine. But usually it attracts the smarter people. And the reason I think is you're looking for like, okay, we're not going to achieve our best or what we're capable of, like your full potential. It just can't be achieved in the real world. It's just, you either don't have the time, you don't have the funds. You get a kid, you can't sell it on the slave market because of laws or something. So but in this world, like, you know, with this game, it's you can actually, at least in theory, see what you're capable of and what your intelligence and creativity can do. And then it's camaraderie. You know, especially now, like you guys were saying, it's not as good as meeting up in meet space, but especially nowadays, you know, the vast majority of my social life is on the internet now, and I got to drive to different places to meet these people.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's an escapism, it's an intellectual challenge, and then it's camaraderie as well. That why I got into it earlier, even though not really knowing, you know, what I was getting into was just kind of like, oh, nothing's going on Tuesday nights, let's go here. And then over time, you start to realize, hey, wait a second, these people are different. They're nerdy and intelligent, and they're not throwing the football 100 yards. These are my people. I found where I belong.
I agree overwhelming with the sentiments expressed. For me, it's the camaraderie for sure. Like Aaron said, for moving from New Jersey out to Arizona, like I just haven't. I'm south of Tucson, which is, you know, not a huge city, but, you know, city-ish, and there's just not as many people down here. And at the time I was married. Now, you know, I'm single, I have the kid and work and, you know, podcasts. Like I'm not going out anywhere. I'm not, you know, going to go do a bunch of stuff. You know, I did a board game meetup for a while, but like this is the essence of my social life is just hanging out and playing games and having a good time. And it's wonderful for that. I do also like that, you know, that collaborative storytelling, just that creative outlet of, you know, really crafting a story, you know, whether we're recording it or not. I mean, like even when we play board games, you know, we'll just, you know, I'll throw in like little like RP elements. Like we could be playing like just some kind of a, you know, Oriental themed dice chucker, like Age of War, to be like, oh yeah, my dudes charge the wall, and you know the archers unloose the thing arrows and roll the dice, and you're like, you know, whatever happens. But it just sort of bleeds into other aspects, and I just really enjoy that creative outlet, you know, because Vince writes, Aaron writes, I would like to write, I don't have fucking time to write. So games allow me to be able to express myself and sort of, you know, at least in some ancillary way, be involved in that creative process, because editing is not creative. It sucks.
The creativity is the fun part. The writing sucks, by the way. Vince and I will tell you that the writing part sucks. You got I got plenty of great ideas, but then there's that whole 3 to 4 months of working 8 hours a day and putting it to paper, and adhering to grammatical rules, and
Oh my god, that's the
people
worst.
complain about typos and wrong words.
Fuck that.
Then organizing and putting numbers and all this other, table of contents.
Page
These
layout.
people are so spoiled. Yeah.
Just read it. Read it.
I just want people to give me the fucking money. What's wrong with that? I can jump all the rest of it. Get the proceeds. That's all I want.
What's this? The saying is, I hate writing, but I love having written. But I guess it should be,
Is that the same?
I hate writing, but I love getting paid for having written.
That's good. That's true.
Copyright C. We own that now.
There you go.
That's right. That's a Legend of Tabletop exclusive.
Yeah.
Hey Vince, real quick, but John, you got all right. Everybody has to experience this one. I think everyone should write a book, but there's no better feeling when you don't finish the last word of the book, but you finished all the editing and then you send it off to the publishers. There's no other feeling like that in the world. So I mean, if you got that creative element, absolutely do it. Write your book, ship it off, and then make your $12 a month on royalties or whatever, because your mom bought 3 books that she didn't tell you.
Well, it's funny, right? But for me, it's not so much. I mean, granted, I would love to write a book and get paid, whatever. But having done it, having completed it, like Vince and I made a board game way back before there was Kickstarter and Indiegogo and all these different things. We cannibalized a bunch of other games and made a Risk style board game, and it never sold. It didn't do anything. I got the maps, kind of stuff behind the shelf over there, but we did it. I mean, it was something that we accomplished for better or for worse, but we still did it. We published an independent magazine for a while, didn't take off. People didn't want to do any work, so then it was just me and him, and it's like, all right, well, this isn't going to work. But we did it. We put out a couple of issues, and it was something that we accomplished. Regardless of whether or not it was successful, it's still done.
We got rid of most of our issues, so.
Yeah.
Next time you do it, if it's in the realm of geekery and tabletop games and all that, I'm not joking, because I wish I had thought of this. Hire a front girl, get a booth babe, and she put together the game.
Yes.
You send her. Because do I have it here? Oh, I got Laura Southern's book.
We'll call it Tits and Trolls.
Yeah, Tits and Trolls. But yeah, I don't know if you guys know who Laura Southern is, but she wrote a pamphlet like yay big, and pretty much the exact same stuff I would write, except 12 years later after it's been thought. And this gal, she's got easily $250,000 on that darn thing, and it's like, so do the marketing right. Don't put any of your faces with whatever products you're selling.
We gotta hire a pretty face.
You gotta hire a pretty face.
That's right. Some tits.
God, could you imagine training a cute girl to be fluent enough in the jargon and language of? It's like, no, RPG, not PGR, GRP, RPG, you stupid bint.
RPG. That's right.
No, not roll for initiation. Initiative. We're going to do it again until you get it right. Sitting there 24 hours training.
The one is
They
good.
do
The
exist.
one is good.
Yeah, and more so as time goes on. But
yeah, I'm fully half of the gamers now are female.
Are they?
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Like
it's not
legitimately, or are they
party.
just doing it because it's cool and it's a thing or a trend or a
Well,
fad?
That's a larger question to our hobby in general, not to female participation, but the popularity of gaming and board games and tabletop has seen such a resurgence.
Well, it's become trendy.
Well, yeah, it's cool now to do that. You're not in your garage or in your basement, or trying to put up a little rip tab piece of paper trying to find players at your the one weird hobby shop that was in town that was always like dark and it kind of smelled funny or whatever. Like it's
Megan's Books. You've been there too?
Yeah.
Well, that's it. What you got beat up for when you were younger is now, quite popular, and you get laughed at if you don't play it.
Yeah, there's no stigma. It's just you can just have fun and not get a wedgie. It's cool.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And atomic
like,
wedgie or a swirly.
But then, do you feel angry that other people don't have to go through that? Or do you feel
I think
I had to go through that? No one else should have to go through that.
I think there should be retroactive wedgies for all these fuckers.
Yeah, if you want to play,
dude.
You have to submit to a wedgie.
House. You play D&D? Yes. How old are you? All right, you just immediately get a fucking wedgie.
Donald Trump could have the Department of Wedgies, and I would be the czar. Go find and hunt down all these millennials that didn't get in fights. Come here.
Exactly. It's like
Well, you ever see this? You know what that is? Turn around.
a required wedgie tax. Oh,
delivering the wedgies now.
That's right.
Oh, how the tables have turned.
Yes, wedgie.com.
Are there even nerds anymore? Like, they've cracked down on the anti-bullying, and there's no testosterone in boys that a bully might sprout. I mean, it's like no one's watering the trees enough. I mean, they just come out and everybody's winners and lovely, and there's no galvanization or fighting at all.
There's no tests. There's no character building anymore. It's just here's your trophy and you win.
Listen, you're blaming the wrong cloud for the participation trophies. Who gives the trophies? Who decided to give the trophies to all the children? You're talking to you gotta yell at the baby boomers.
That's right.
No, don't count on my generation out. They're all the teachers now.
Oh, the Gen X. Oh, you guys.
Gen X. I mean, like, I remember going to school. I'm like, wow, I can't believe these people are going to go off and become adults. And now we kind of are, and their parents, and it is the train wreck I expected it to be. It's absolutely horrible. I'm like, yeah, this is the shit show I was expecting. Yeah.
I once yelled, I'll use air quotes, yelled at a teacher. She sent home a paper graded in like bright green ink, and it was an F. And I'm like, I don't ever want to see a paper that's not in red if it's wrong. He was like, okay.
Nice.
I'd be the greatest dad.
Fabulous.
Because I'd scare the teachers. I'd make them cry. If my kid came down with any kind of propaganda that wasn't reading, writing, and arithmetic, I'd just get like, what are you guys doing? Because I hate teachers.
Hence the no reading.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm gonna fuck you. I'm not reading.
I think we've gotten way far afield here at this point.
We've gotten into rant territory.
Yeah.
Talking about murdering teachers. Yeah. Gone a little afar.
Teach me to think critically.
Yeah. Do some heavy editing here at the end of the show.
Edit that in post.
Ah, Jesus.
Fuck. All right. Does anyone have any? Well, all right. Here we're going to go from Aaron all the way over. Does anyone have any tips as a player or a GM that you could give to our viewers? Like what
When I'm number one to answer that question, I just got to come up with something right away.
Yeah, you're on the spot. Go.
Okay, I would say the first thing is to separate yourself from your character.
All right.
That's every young kid. You start when you're young. You start when you're a teenager, and you're all about you. And okay, that's fine. I understand that. That's not for this. This is an opportunity to play different characters, and explore. Because, like I said, every day you get to be you. Life sucks, and inevitably, after 40 years, it's gonna suck being you. No matter how awesome you might be, it's gonna be, oh crap, this again every morning. So here's your one chance to not be you. So don't be you. Be somebody else.
I would say don't have 3 kids and another one on the way if you want to have any free time whatsoever. So that's the best advice I can give.
It's the best advice ever. The best advice ever.
I love it.
So I'll see you in 18 years, guys.
Oh, fuck me. All right, John, you got. That's going to be a tough act to follow.
Yeah. I mean, if you're new, just have fun with it. Just take it as it is. There's no wrong way to play. A role playing game. Whatever happens. You just kind of improv it, and if your plans go awry, like Gabe said, then so be it. You come up with another plan. If your character dies, that can really suck, but then maybe that character lives on in that universe, and maybe there's a statue put up because they fell defeating the goblins to protect the town or whatever. Like there's ways to incorporate those things, into the game and make it, and then everybody always remembers, fuck, do you remember that one time that Bill got killed by that goblin, stabbed him right in the ass and he died? Like it was the worst thing ever, So yeah, just have fun and, yeah, that's it. Play as many games as you can. Try different systems because they're all different. Like Rogue Trader's really crunchy. 4th edition's really crunchy, but something like, Burning Wheel or Final Girl or, Fiasco's just super rules light. And, it's just, it's a completely different feel and different style.
All right. How about you, Gabe?
Let's see. Yeah. Always make sure you got someone who knows the rules for you, so you don't have to know them.
Make sure everyone has a James at the table.
Yeah, it's always good to have that person, and then you don't have to worry about that, and you can just have fun.
Gotcha.
And what about you, Vince?
Write something every day. I'm assuming most people that are watching this or listening to this are in some way, shape, or form involved in gaming. And maybe you want to write that novel, maybe you want to write that adventure, maybe you just want to write that poem. Fucking do it. I don't care if you say you don't have the time, that's bullshit. Stop watching television for an hour and take that hour and write. Do it. There you go.
So can I write my poem, I Hate My Teachers?
You can. In fact, I expect that on my desk tomorrow.
Okay. Don't tempt me, I will. I got plenty of material and soul for this one.
You should, yes. We'll reconvene and have a.
Would you like to hear the first verse?
Yes.
I hate my teachers. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I hate them even more than a Nazi does a Jew. How's that? Is that?
Oh my God. Jesus Christ.
Is there going to be editing?
Not on the video.
Oh,
that's live and pretty much.
Awesome. Good. It goes down in history.
Forever on the internet. Is that like some kind of bizarre Dr. Seuss thing going on?
No, you know what it came from? To further geek out, Halo. Remember when you got bazookas?
Oh, yeah.
And you could get like a kill-tacular if everyone was fighting each other in the pit. And I just pick up the bazooka and I got this song. I like bazookas. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I like bazookas. How about you? How about you? And then kill-tacular.
Well done.
Those are good times.
It's always good to extrapolate real life from Halo and use it in poems.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I like it. All right. Well, on that note, John, you want to segue us out?
All right. If you like what you're here, if you're enjoying all of our games and interviews and these roundtable type things, click the likes and the subscribes. We're on all the social media outlets. I think just about everywhere. We're on iTunes and Player FM and the Google Music Store. And
real fast, let me interject. Will you leave a fucking comment or feedback or something? Okay, I don't care if it's bad. Good is good, but if it's bad, we'll take it. It still helps the whole algorithm. Leave a fucking comment. Thank you.
Or poem.
Or poem. You can leave a poem. I mean, if you want to go back in and listen to Aaron's poem and use your own, use it as inspiration for your own, we're okay with that as well. So.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, comments definitely help on all the different pod catchers, pod chasers, and all that stuff. They use algorithms to bump people up all over.
So YouTube's probably going to flag this video. So yeah.
Yeah, I can't edit video, so I'm going to download this before I go to bed tonight.
Well, are you going to try and monetize it?
Nah, we don't do that. No.
They probably won't flag it. That you gotta trust me. I know when videos get flagged. I have expertise in that, and this is pretty tame. This is pretty tame.
There you go.
I'm loath to make people watch commercials. The fan base is not large enough to be like, hey, you know what? You're going to watch commercials now. Maybe in the future. We'll see what happens.
A couple years. All right.
So if you tell your friends and tell your enemies and tell your family and we get those numbers up, maybe you're doing yourself a disservice. You're going to have to watch commercials here next year. But, it's good for us if you like the content. I mean, hey, pays the bills, keeps this thing going.
Right. Support Legends of Tabletop. We can't do this without you.
Yep. We've got coffee for sale. Check out the convoluted link in the show notes or just go to tinyurl.com/legendary brew. I just ordered like 6 bags, I think.
Is it bad that I haven't had it yet? And it's our blend.
It is. It's pretty shitty,
bad.
actually.
Yeah, it's pretty shitty. I'm gonna order some this weekend, and I'll give you a full review.
All right, that's fair. Leah just ordered like 2 pounds.
I'll do a video unboxing.
There you go.
Yes.
All right. So we appreciate that. Coffee's awesome. That's all I drink unless I'm at work because I'm too cheap to bring my coffee press and coffee to work. It's whatever. But yeah, check it out. And we hope you enjoy it. And we'll catch you next time.
See you soon for next whatever we do. Bye.